Hey there, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably into cryptids and monsters. Well, if you have a creative spark, you can always join us in our first ever Supernatural Selection zine project. For 2024, we are doing cryptid encounters, where you can draw or write a encounter with a cryptid of your choice, and we'll put it in the zine. The current submission window is from early January to late June. If you're interested in finding out more, you can always go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/zines. That is ZINES. Now back to the show.
Well, this is going to be about the dumbest thing we've done in a long time. Like, Mike, which was worse is going to be worse for you? Do you think this or Time Cube?
I don't know, Dave. I think they're dumb in different ways.
Yeah.
Time Cube was just, hurt you trying to wrap your brain around it. This you can grasp. It's like,
okay.
It's
stupid, but you can understand.
You can understand it, but you wish you didn't.
Oh, good way to put it. Well, you know what? Hello, and welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic, obviously. Mike, how are you?
I want to put this out here in that I don't always have a alcoholic drink when I'm doing the podcast, but I was sure to have one for this because I'm going to need the buffering.
Yeah, and I'm raw dogging as usual.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm about 50-50 most times. But after what you've told me the past couple of weeks, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this wholly sober.
Yep. And we've got Mr. David Davis. David, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I treated myself to some Haribo sour gummy bears because I knew we were doing this one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they were good. They're good.
Good. I'm glad. Mm-hmm. Because this is not good. We're handling one big conspiracy this week, but before we do that, a little housekeeping. First off, this is the last month for zine submissions. I've done one. Have you?
I have.
Yes.
How about you, Mike?
I sent you something, but...
Yeah. I wanted you to say yes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, technically I didn't because it's something I've written before, but I submitted it.
Still counts.
Yep, still counts.
But yeah, like, we're looking for some more obscure cryptids if you have them, especially local stuff that isn't commonly known. So if you have, like, a weird regional monster, please doodle it or write about it so we can include it. And you can learn more about the zine at supernatpod.rocks/zines.
That's right. So get your squonks and or hodags in before the end of the month. So also, we would love to hear your weird-ass personal stories about the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, psychic stuff, whatever. Send it in and we will read it on the air. And if it's super interesting, we'll try to get in touch with you. You can contact us via team@supernaturalselectionpod.com. So that is a thing. So with that out of the way, let's talk about my sources for this week, which is all of like 3 sources. The first one is A Grand Unified Conspiracy Theory by Illuminati Watcher. I mean... Yeah. Now, I need to explain that this book doesn't cover a hell of a lot of new ground for us, but what it does do is provide some connective tissue between almost everything we have ever talked about on this show. What's going to be new is a couple of topics and the connective tissue, as I said. We'll talk about the author more toward the end. One of my other sources is IlluminatiWatcher.com. His website. It's a lot, and it's troubling, and it kind of looks like it's just turning into a Twin Peaks review site. which is weird, but also it makes a weird sort of sense.
Now you say he's troubling. Is he Alex Chu troubling?
No.
Okay.
It's just, we'll get into it. He's getting more cynical, and that bothers me. But and also, as always, my usual independent research since I was 8. So there's some stuff in here that didn't get mentioned in the book that I put in because it's also my stupid grand theory on everything.
I appreciate that, like, the conspiratorial thinking guy that you're talking about is putting out bad vibes, and it makes you sad.
Yes. I thought I found someone that, like, had a better view of the world, and, like, the world ground him down, and I'm sad about that. So, as some of you may be aware, I am a cast member on a podcast, a D&D podcast called Spooky Dice Bag, and they're all well aware of this show. I mean, hell, Dart and Ruth Ann and Adam have all been on this show in the Bridgewater Triangle episode. This is a fun one. So, Ruth Ann had these batshit insane books that she picked up from a bookstore in the Bridgewater Triangle. Which, if you don't know, is a home for spooky shit. It's kind of like Skinwalker Ranch in a lot of ways. Also has, like, this problematic story about a, quote, wampum belt, but we're not gonna get into that. Anyway, she's been sitting on these books for a while, and she asked me if I liked them, and I said yes. This was a mistake. And I want to thank Ruth Ann for the donation of these 3 books. And I would also like to curse her and her family line for the next 7 generations for exposing me to this madness.
Well, I mean, when you do a show like this, you get a lot of people who ask, hey, do you want this book? And you grab it like a greedy little goblin snatching up a tome. I mean, hell, even before people knew I was doing the show, I'd still get people throwing weird-ass esoteric books at me.
Like, literally or figuratively?
I did have a friend throw a book at me. He was like, here, take it. So,
like Dalai Lama. Fuck it, take it!
It was really weird because he sped by my house and threw it out his car window.
I could see one of our friends doing
He yelled, it's your problem now. So,
fucking deal.
I don't know.
So, I need to go on record as being squarely against book burnings.
Oh, thank God. I thought, we're going to take a real weird turn here.
Yeah, well, I just need to get that out there because, to quote Andy Partridge, I believe the printed word is more than sacred. Now, that being said, I'm going to ritualistically burn this book after the episode goes up while wearing my moose hat.
Now, that is magical thinking.
Mike, will you help me burn this book?
I guess. I mean, I can think of not more interesting, but some other interesting things to do with it, like
toilet paper.
No,
I don't even want to wipe my ass with it.
If we had access to a
wood chipper.
Yeah, wood chipper. That's what I was thinking of.
That would be fun too.
We have paper shredders. Could feed it sheet by sheet into a paper shredder,
giggling the entire time,
and then set it on fire.
Or if you have one of those hydraulic presses, you can do a YouTube video.
Will it smush?
It. Yep.
Well, I know it stands up to pressure because I've jumped up and down on it
a few times.
Yes, I've been so pissed off at this book, I threw it on the ground and stomped on it and jumped up and down.
And he told me he's been reading the ebook of it for more portability. I'm like going, dude, don't jump up and down on your phone.
No. That's why I kept the physical book on me, so if the ebook pissed me off, I didn't destroy my phone jumping on it. So,
yeah, you really should just keep the book and just, like, occasionally stab it.
I like that plan.
You have a bad day, you go to the stabbing book, give it a couple thrusts.
Sure.
I was getting some water to wet my whistle, and you nearly killed me with a stabbing book.
Sure, your whipping book.
My whipping book. So, before we get... There's a lot of before we get started, but before we get started... What has you guys experienced with giant conspiracies, both like in pop culture and real conspiracies?
Do you want to go first, Mike? Because I have a thing.
I mean, a little more than I'd say the average person probably. I mean, there's the big ones. There's JFK assassination and the moon landing, and Area 51.
I'm proud I'm not the one who told you all those.
No, I mean, come on. It was like you couldn't turn on the History Channel for a period and not see something about these.
And in the 90s, there was the X-Files.
Oh, yeah, and the X-Files.
Millennium and Lone Gunman.
Yeah, well, those were, more fictionalized. And they didn't really touch on the real conspiracies as much. They kind of did their own
sort
thing.
of. There's a little bit in there.
A little bit, but not as much as I would have thought,
Yeah. Well, beyond like the pop culture and just kind of like picking up conspiracy in the ether, as it were, I feel like everyone crosses into conspiratorial thinking to some degree.
Right.
Like it's just this inevitable part about being human. My favorite quote about that, I actually have it written down here, is to quote Hunter S. Gathers from the Venture Brothers, ever since God crapped out the third caveman, there's been a conspiracy hatched against one of them.
Yeah, I would say that I think that comes down to just like the way we think. Like there is a part of our brain that just wants to connect the dots, even if the dots are in our own head or don't exist at all.
It's information pareidolia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're looking for patterns.
We're conditioned to look for patterns. I mean, that's how we evolved, right?
Yep.
The other thing is, like, I have my own pet conspiracies that I take their silly, their seriousness on a spectrum of like silly to plausible to full on belief. Like most, especially the big cultural ones, like JFK assassination, that sort of thing. They tend to be silly to plausible, but the ones that I believe in tend to be more personal and, let's say they're more pessimistic and not really the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the broad conspiracy theories are like, oh, that's fun to think about. Wouldn't that be interesting? But I have my personal ones.
Yeah, like the Franklin cover-up and shit like that. Which we'll have to discuss it, but we're not going to go into a lot of detail when we actually do Satanic Panic, because it ties in. So, lastly, I need to say something. To understand any of this, you have to know that we are all God, and the reason we don't know this is because lizards built the moon.
Isn't that Mormonism? Or Scientology?
There were no jumbo jets.
Okay, no jumbo jets.
Definitely
not
Scientology.
But that's
possibly
still
Mormonism.
But still, that's kind of like a facet of Mormonism.
And man, I hope my nieces and nephews don't listen to this now. So, I'm not gonna say I enjoyed making this episode.
No, it was torture.
No, this has been extremely painful. But I'm going to say it was a refreshing change in that this guy talks about the reptilians, and he literally means the reptilians. This is not a veiled reference to the Jews or Zionists. He takes David Icke at face value and jumps into the extra-dimensional lizards, and it's refreshing.
That's so weird to think about it that way, but you're absolutely right. It's like, I don't have to worry about like this being a metaphor for which ethnic group the guy hates.
Yeah, how does this relate to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds? Oh, it doesn't.
He just literally hates lizard people.
Yeah, nope, just fucking hates them. So,
is it like a cool Shasta on a hot sunny day?
It kind of is, yeah. So, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this, all right?
If you must.
All right. So, Illuminati Watcher's big thing on his website and in general is occult symbolism in mass media. And I figured that would be the place to start because, to move a mountain, you have to get that first shovelful of dirt, right? Well, I'm not. I'm glossing over the symbolism in media this time. I'm saving it for other episodes like, Satanic Panic and stuff. Because Illuminati Watcher's book does a really terrible job of getting into specifics about the symbolism unless it has to do with a pyramid or an eyeball. I don't want to get into why Masters of the Universe and its pagan symbolism aren't relative in the year of our Lord 2024.
So, fun fact, Masters of the Universe was first released 37 years ago.
Fuck.
And by fun, I mean a horrific realization that time is marching on and our bodies are breaking down year after year until all that's left is the decrepit brain piloting a broken vessel.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Yeah, nearly 40 years old. He-Man, nearly 40 years old.
Fuck off.
Still looks great.
Yeah, it is not great, actually. It looks fucking awful. It's Filmation. They had like 3 film clips they could rotoscope over. Anyway, the biggest takeaway, actually, from this first section of our episode and from the book in general is the idea of predictive programming. Now, predictive programming is the core idea behind the Illuminati's psyops. It's the idea, and I'm going to sound like a madman for this whole fucking episode. It's the idea that through mass media, they will tell you what they're going to do, then do what they're going to do, and then tell you what they just did. Now, all of this is to ease you into the idea of the new reality. Now, this started with H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. Their stories of science fiction and futurism helped to prepare the public for the advances in technology that were being filtered down to us from both our reptilian overlords and alien contact. Now, it continues today. Specific examples of this are Independence Day preparing us for alien invasion, The Matrix to get us used to the idea that we live in an artificial reality created by the Archons, and Stargate, to drive home that we had ancient contact with space gods / reptilians. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Gene Roddenberry were also getting us used to the idea of aliens.
And not a single reference to Rowdy Roddy Piper classic They Live.
I had to leave something for you. I specifically left it out because I knew one of you would bring it up.
It's like predictive programming. Didn't I take that in high school?
Yeah, but it was in BASIC, and Windows 95 was already out, so...
Yeah.
That's how you get a predictive keyboard, right, for phone texting?
Oh, yeah, I hate that thing, because it's like, there's no reason I should be saying duck. So...
Well, come on, Kevin. One day you're going to get attacked by ducks, and you're already texting, and you're going to just... wanting someone to know it's ducks, but it should come out as fuck, and it should be fuck.
I'm being murdered by fucks, and they're gonna be like, "Where are you?"
Nice way to go.
Yeah. Now, I have one thing that confuses me about this whole predictive programming thing.
Only one?
Yeah, actually, because I get the logic behind it. It's the nature of the creators of the works. Do they know what they're doing? Like, are they working with the global elite to spread this message, or are they being manipulated psychically by the Moon Saturn Matrix to create Star Wars and sell it for $4 billion? I legit want to know how complicit they are in this.
Why not both?
But no, it's one or the other, man.
No, some could be one, some could be the other.
Oh, I thought you meant it like George Lucas at the same time.
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, obviously lizard people.
Okay, that's fair.
But some of these others, maybe they're not lizard people yet.
Okay.
Well, speaking of predictive programming, do you think Mass Effect is meant to condition us to bone aliens when we finally make contact with them?
Obviously.
We need Mass Effect to do that. I mean, it's been like decades of, Star Trek and other...
Yeah. And what was that? Space 1999 and stuff like that. Yeah.
Star Wars.
And then there's people that are simping over the xenomorph, but we're not going to get into that. But yeah, predictive programming is the idea of telling us what's coming and then telling us it's here and then hammering home that this is the new normal. Like, to go back to The Matrix, they came out with these films to get used to the idea that a false reality is possible. We're already in a Matrix-like construct, and then they push the simulation theory through scientists and Elon Musk to help normalize it outside of the movie theater.
Hey, so, do we have a soundboard for the show? Every time, we mention Elon Musk, we play a fart sound.
But why would you... if it's a simulation, why would you want people to know it's a simulation?
Because if you it helps to discredit people. Like, if we're living in a simulation, yeah, you've been watching The Matrix.
No, because even without that, if there's no, like, say that for the simulation theory, like, okay, imagine this. You're in the 1950s, and some nut starts no simulation theory at all anywhere, and someone starts spouting we're in a simulation, they're going to think you're fucking bonkers. Nobody's going to believe you. You know, whereas nowadays, you know, the QAnon soft brains will start going, maybe.
Oh, God, I hope that doesn't make its way into QAnon. But you're following me so far.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not saying it's any less dumb, but I'm following you.
No, yeah, it is intensely stupid. But let's talk about the tools they use to manipulate us inside this holographic simulation, which we're just going to assume is true.
Well, and yeah, I want to get back to They Live real quick. So if we're following this theory, it's even more fucked up because then the whole idea is that, like, oh, you can recognize the programming we're putting in, almost like gaslighting. Yeah, like, after all, what can we do if we think it's predictive programming? I mean, tell a normal person that the movie is aliens revealing their plan and the fact that we can't do shit about it. Like, it doesn't work. It's getting to what Mike was saying.
Yeah.
It's like, and basically, I think it's just me wanting to rewatch They Live. You know, it's been a while, so
yeah. And just so you know, the Film Gauge watched that a little while, and he thought it was boring. I don't think he should have a movie podcast with that under his belt.
So here's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need lizard people when you have the simulation?
Because a lizard, well, okay, I was hoping not to have to get into this, but you brought it up. Illuminati Watcher is, the theory that we're living in a holographic projection, like a 3D projection from a 2D realm. You know that weird-ass quantum theory about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that just basically confirms to him that we're in a simulation.
But
where do the lizards come in?
Because they're from outside the simulation.
Then why are they in the simulation?
We're going to get to that, actually.
Why are the lizards flat?
They're from beyond that plane, the two-dimensional... I don't know. Fuck it. So
Wait. So if they were beyond our dimension, shouldn't they be, like, fourth dimension? Like,
maybe.
Now I'm all confused. Now I'm just thinking about fourth dimensional Argonian maids, and I'm getting turned on.
Okay. Well, that's certainly something you can do. The greatest tool of the Illuminati is celebrity and celebrity culture. Influencers. Tabloid culture continues today despite the death of the printed tabloid. Now the celebrities present themselves to us directly. Parasocial relationships are the best thing to happen for these fucking lizards.
No.
Being controlled by lizards?
Kinda.
No, you don't understand. Florence Pugh is speaking directly to me in her Instagram posts.
Ah. You didn't watch My Sister Sam, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, all right. That is an old joke, but anyway.
It's an old joke, but it checks out.
A lot of Star Wars in this one. So, celebrities show us debauched behavior. They show us greed and excess and dissatisfaction with what we have to make us obsessed with material belongings.
That's just, capitalism.
Yes. But the media they produce is full of violence and sex. The sexualization of young stars as soon as they're remotely legal helps to spread the pedophile rings, but the less we discuss that, the better.
I don't know. I mean, American media is really chaste compared to other European countries.
Well, yes and no. Like, it's chaste in the sense that, like,
we have more violence than sex.
It fits more with, like, the normative morals that we're trying to put out there, but then you watch, like, shit on Nickelodeon. Because I'll talk about Quiet on Set a little bit later, but...
Oh, boy.
But, yeah, I mean, I get where you're going with that, but also, like, yes and no. It's super complicated. Now, there have been, like, several cult movements all about this stuff, usually combining, this... this idea of like the pedophile rings with like the idea of child sacrifices,
right,
usually tied to shadow governments and Satanism.
and the Saturn Death Cult.
Yeah, it seems to have a resurgence every couple decades, and it poisons the fun of conspiracy theories for a while. I just want to talk about lizards running the government. I don't need to read shit about them like drinking the blood of kids and then having to read about people believing that and like harassing a pizza place. I don't need that. I just need to know about the lizard people.
Okay.
That's all I want.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But fuck. I just don't really want to get into like you said, I don't really want to get into the heavy shit on this show, but we have to bring it up in this episode. So
yeah.
Right? All right. So almost all celebrities are manipulated by MK Ultra style conditioning, which is brainwashing, to push the Illuminati agenda and be the tastemakers that they are. Sometimes the programming doesn't stick, though. Take Britney Spears, for example. That whole period where she seemed to have a breakdown and shave her head was due to botched programming.
Well, you mentioned that period, but I think my favorite breakdown era was when she was dancing around with the knives.
Okay, fair, but that just shows how badly the programming was on her.
Yeah. Well, we also should periodically remind the audience that this is not your direct belief. This is you quoting the book.
Again, I'm going to sound unhinged.
Because, believing it's bad programming is way more believable than believing it's just a poor person who can't handle her celebrity having mental breakdowns.
Right. Yeah. And possibly drug use. Who knows?
Oh, that too. That goes a long way.
But, occasionally, and this is the first time, well, this is us finally getting to this. Occasionally, a celeb will straight up start rebelling and have to be replaced. The conspiracy that Avril Lavigne was killed and replaced, for example. Paul McCartney's replacement is another. One that I almost take seriously and will infuriate Mike is the idea that Andrew WK is a brand, and when the actor playing that character started going off script, they hired someone else. I mean, the dude went from weird music like Party Hard to doing speaking engagements, and I don't really know that he looks the same, but...
Well, see, to me, he's starting to look like Danzig the White.
God damn it.
I don't know. I've looked at pictures of, him in his early career and, modern as far as it was 2 or 3 years ago. And he, had the same facial features. Unless it was whole reconstructive, better than what we actually have in, plastic surgery.
Well, trust me, when we get to the later stuff, we've got the technology to make somebody's face.
Yeah, but Kevin, But I'm just going on the Andrew WK as an isolated thing.
Okay.
You're saying.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. But the point is, they have to toe the company line and set up the trends the Illuminati want them to, or there are consequences.
So, a lot of the stuff involving celebrities, especially when it's kids in the system, is that the conspiratorial thinking gets to a truth, but draws the wrong conclusions. Are children being systematically exploited by those in power to prop up capitalistic machinery and also engaging in instances of abuse? Absolutely. Quiet on Set, for example, highlights this. We get examples of this every few years. I mean, look at what happened with Corey Feldman.
Oh boy, that poor kid.
But, the thing here is that, instead of leaving it at the frequently disappointing realization that some humans are bad people and prone to making terrible decisions when they're in power, where this conclusion actually lies, it's easier for some to believe humanoid lizards are running the show.
Yeah, people can't be that bad. It's got to be, a bigger, worser evil that's not human.
Yeah, and we'll get to that at the end. Mm-hmm. But we're going to talk about the biggest celebrity conspiracy, because that has to be Princess Diana and her death. Now, I do believe that the poor woman was murdered. I do believe that the royal family had something to do with it. What I don't believe is that the lizards were behind all of it. But we have to discuss it.
Even if Charles looks like a lizard?
He looks like a sausage.
Well, his fingers do.
Yeah, God, that picture. I still can't get over that picture.
I think it's still pinned in our Discord.
It is, motherfucker. In the host chat. So, Mike, do you remember when this happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you were at my house when it happened.
And I think I don't know. I don't want to say it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I just don't believe that. I mean,
you don't.
How can she have been killed when there was a car accident while running from paparazzi?
Well, we'll get into that like now. So Diana was killed in a car accident with her companion Dodi Fayed in 1997. And the official story was that paparazzi taking a photo in a passing car in a tunnel caused the driver to lose control of the car carrying the princess and Mr. Fayed and crashed. Now, there's a lot of sus stuff here, like the ambulance getting there in 7 minutes, loitering with no witnesses in the tunnel for 45 minutes, and then taking almost 90 minutes to get to the hospital. But I can't get into all that because that is like a lot. There's even more that I'm not going to get into.
You left out a lot.
I did.
He was drunk and speeding.
Mike, I want you, yes, I want to say this is what I got from the book, but please continue.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about your overview here, and you left out a lot there.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it was a terrible accident.
Yes.
And saying someone killed him is just kind of pants on head.
Fair enough.
I'm going to push back against like companion here. I think partner is more accurate.
Oh no, I mean she was fucking the dude. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, like
but
that companion
Charles was
like
also
Downing
sleeping
Street
around
PR.
too.
Well, yeah,
at the time. So there's no. In fact, I think it was in the royals' best interest to keep Diana around because it would put a lampshade on Charles's infidelity.
Well,
yeah.
Part of the reason the conspiracy says she was killed was because she may have been pregnant with a child that was not part of the reptilian hybrid bloodline.
Well,
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense.
See, yeah, now it's all making sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're all on board. Right, Mike?
No.
No? Well,
now, if you are going to have a reptilian baby, do you lay eggs?
What do you...
Like, how's that work? Like, say you've been impregnated by one of the reptilians.
See, I want to know Mike's thoughts on this, actually, because I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
it's fine. I don't know. She probably... Maybe it's like some lizards where they lay eggs and keep them inside and then they hatch inside and come out. They go, God, this is disgusting. We're talking about a dead woman.
Oh, my God.
What we're going to talk about is that Diana was a ritual sacrifice by the reptilian global elite represented by the royal family.
Like, this all checks out. I don't know what Mike's problem is.
So, Diana, the name, means heavenly goddess. The tunnel she was in was named Tunnel of the Moon Goddess. The car struck the 13th pillar in the tunnel. The entrance to the tunnel was decorated with a flaming torch in a black pentagram after the accident. The idea being that Diana was groomed from the start to be a sacrifice to the moon goddess Diana by the reptilians for a magical ritual, the purpose of which we don't know.
I just want to shove this guy's head in a toilet.
Well, okay, fair.
I hate this. This isn't fun anymore. Can we get back to things like Aleister Crowley summoning the Loch Ness Monster?
Oh, I'm sorry, David. Is there not enough coming on paper for you?
This is so ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Now, Kevin, I hear the imagined audience and my co-hosts ask.
Now, Kevin.
Why would they do all this?
Why would they do all this?
What I'm questioning is why would someone come up with all this?
We can talk about that at the end, actually, but the reptilians feed on negative emotions like hostility, sexual organ energy, and fear. They manipulate the media and our perception of reality so that they can sustain themselves on our bad vibes. And the excess power goes to power the mechanism that keeps us locked into the system and the hologram.
So Garmonbozia from Twin Peaks. Got it. It's all creamed corn.
Is that what that's from?
Yes.
God, because Some More News keeps doing creamed corn bits, and I don't even know where that was from.
and that's
but
funny. No. You bring. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just gonna say, because hostility, sexuality, and fear are not just like our monkey emotions.
No, it's not. Not remotely.
They're not our most, powerful and, uncontrollable aspects of our psyche.
Now,
You're bringing logic into a sequence of events that involves moon lizard people murdering.
I'm sorry, I can't turn off my logic coprocessors.
I don't want you to, Mike. I need them for this. So, let's talk about the plan. The actual plan.
Lizard Jesus has a plan for your life.
Probably. Now, according to Illuminati Watcher, and by extension David Icke, because David Icke is his main source, the reptilians control our media to suppress our right brains, so that our left brains are in control, so they can keep us from becoming the psychic hermaphroditic homunculi that we were in Atlantis, so that we don't all realize we're one being and ascend beyond the hologram we're living in. Their biggest tool is to make us lose empathy towards one another so we can't connect. No one knows why besides evil.
Now this is fun again.
So other than the psychic part, there seems to be, talk about personal conspiracies, but there does seem to be a thing in the media to try to sow division among everybody. I mean, look at the culture wars that are happening.
Oh yeah. Again, this is the Mike believes conspiracy thing.
But it's really just comes down to money. You don't need like psychic lizard energy harvesters to, see that there is something going on.
If you're this guy, you do.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I said my thing.
I want to throw out there that like the current divisions that we're seeing that are being like sown, like we see this kind of division happen all throughout history. Like nature and society abhors a vacuum of struggle. Like you have to have like I
think they're off putting the struggle from themselves onto us though.
Yeah, but I think I'm getting the larger point I think I'm trying to get to here, and it's taking me a little bit to get to it, is just like that we as a society for thousands of years we've always like had that like us versus them.
Well, yes, that's mentality. Just tribalism, but this is something playing into our tribalism. This is like the current state of political discourse is way more adversarial than it has been, say, the 90s. Yes, there was some, the Democrats and Republicans never got along. Conservatives and liberals always butted heads, but it seems to be a lot more like no compromise than it has been.
Tools have gotten a lot better at sowing that discord. Like we're a pretty far cry from like the Romans and the Jews, right?
Oh yeah.
But like at the heart of it, I think that's still kind of there. It's just now we have so many better ways in which to perpetuate those divisions.
Yeah, and you wanna hear my conspiracy theory about why?
Fruit roll-ups.
No.
What?
They're scared. They got scared because of Occupy Wall Street.
Oh, I see. That's the thing. I actually believe Mike on this one. Occupy Wall Street panicked them, and they had to make it about something else.
Yeah. So I'm definitely seeing you on that one.
Class war with a culture war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want another French Revolution.
I've thought about this for a while, and then I found out apparently that's just a thing of Marxism. It's not a tenet, but it's like a one of the things Marxism talks about is, is not Marxism doing it, but to identify, things that are, against Marxism, trying to, sow distrust and, get basically to fight against Marxism by using, this divisionary tactics.
Well, the 5 words that will absolutely like put the system focus on you and like try to push you down is seize the means of production.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
you
the whole
say
point.
that like if the NSA is spying on us right now, like we're all flagged. So you guys are welcome for that.
Thanks for that, fucker.
Yeah, of course.
Now, back to this whole thing.
Oh, what? We have an actual document to follow?
Yeah, this is unfortunately not a political podcast. Or fortunately. But essentially, what I'm saying is we're all God at the same time, and the reptilians are from outside of ourselves, and I guess they're extra-dimensional bullies.
Okay.
Now this is
Reptilian Nagatoro.
God damn it.
Now you're just confusing my boner again. God damn it.
This is a very sexually frustrated episode. Now, this concept is actually familiar to me because it's sort of the plot of my comic, The Errand Apprentice. The idea appeals to me a bit, but from a story point of view, not from a belief and worldview point of view.
So you're an active vector in predictive programming.
I
guess. How does it feel to sell out humanity for the lizard people? How much gold bullion are they paying you?
Yeah, Mr. Lizard Person.
Not nearly enough.
I think he's holding out on me.
You fucking wish I was.
God, I wish you were too.
He's living the poverty life, for the long game. I mean, he's a lizard person, so he could live for like 100 years or 1,000 years.
He's just doing it for the Instagram clout.
Look, motherfucker, if I had gold bullion, I wouldn't have gone into the red paying for the hosting for this podcast.
That's all a front. That's all a front.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad to know my financial situation is just bullshit to cover for the lizards.
Yep.
Now, before we move on to the next part of the conspiracy, let's take a mental health break. So you guys go think about kittens, and we will be right back after this. Hi everyone, this is Kevin from Supernatural Selection. Are you an independent creator? Do you have a webcomic or an Etsy store? Do you 3D print things? Or are you just looking to get some word out for your Discordian cabal with social terrorism? Well, we'd love to help. And David, I believe you've got some details about how we can help.
Why, certainly. If you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, that is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, you can learn how to advertise with us.
That's right. I believe the rate is $2 per episode. You can't beat that with a stick.
I mean, trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, that's cheap. That's literally cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm. And best of all, if you're not sure how to write an ad, we'll do it for you. We'll even record it.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need in the ad, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
And again, that URL is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact.
And now, back to the show. And we're back. So, David, you know what one of my favorite things about doing this show is? Is your episodes are like, oh, I have these things meticulously researched. I have these academic papers. I read a magazine and a book, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I watched a YouTube video 15 years ago with a fucking nut. So, if anybody ever wants to know what the differences is, anyway, how are you guys feeling about things so far? Have you still got like a finger hold on sanity?
Nope.
Okay.
Well,
thoughts so far?
I'm still hung up on the predictive programming thing. I'm just kind of wondering what hidden truths are buried in Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, God.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Kevin's Freddy Got Fingered story.
Oh, God.
Do we have time for it?
I mean, it's short. I really wanted to see it, and Kevin didn't. So I had to bribe him to go see it by giving him a hard drive for his computer.
Yep. And
I was very sorry. Like, I was like, wow.
like in the movie, like halfway through the movie, he turns and goes, "I'm sorry."
like I knew I had fucked up when Freddy is grabbing the horse penis and laughing and shaking it around. I'm going, oh my God.
Yeah. So let's get back to it.
Didn't the hard drive fail like pretty quickly?
Yep. I think that was when the computer got struck by lightning again.
The real lasting legacy of Freddy Got Fingered is how that completely fucked up that hard drive.
Yep. So our conspiracy, and we're going to get into ancient religions and serpent worship now and technology and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So our conspiracy, and by extension our history, starts way back in prehistory with the coming of the... You know what? We covered this. It was the Anunnaki. We did a whole goddamn episode about this. It's called Bitchin' About Sitchin', and I suggest you go listen to that and replace everything I said about the Anunnaki with reptilians, and you'll get the idea. Like I said, almost everything we've talked about is linked in this theory.
So instead of aliens making the fuck monkeys and mining for gold, it was reptilians.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is it exactly. Now, the only real difference is that... Actually, let me set something down that confuses me, okay? Sometimes the theory states that we were lower apes, that were genetically, prehistoric man, and were genetically modified to mine for gold. But other times, the conspiracy says that we were giant hermaphrodites with psychic powers that were subjugated via porn and war.
Sounds like a standard Marine.
I've been trying to come up with a way to reconcile these two origins for over a month, and I got nothing. How about you guys? Have you got anything for that?
Like, nobody says your crazy mythology can't have hermaphroditic psychic gold mining chimps. Live your truth.
So here's the problem: is that the people that are for war are usually against porn.
Yes, and there's the conflict that they eat the psychic vibes from.
Did you Freudian someone say conflict?
Yep.
Okay, just I did want to make sure that I heard that
this
correctly.
conflict.
You can either have porn or have war. We can't have both.
They can have both, because while they're sending the boys to die overseas, they're back at their senatorial offices cranking one out.
Mike,
I can't access Pornhub anymore. God damn it! What's wrong with that?
Ted Cruz can retweet incest porn on his Twitter account.
Well, yeah, but I can't get to Pornhub, so therefore I'm going to become a psychic hermaphrodite.
Oh shit! You guys are banned from Pornhub? Your state?
Yeah, no, Mississippi is blocked.
Mississippi is blocked.
Oh, I'm gonna have to send you guys a care package.
Oh, that's gonna be nasty ass woods porn.
No, it's Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana. There's a couple others.
Probably
now.
Georgia or something. But Mike, when you said you can't have porn or war, you literally just asked me cake or death.
Yeah.
Just saying that Eddie Izzard bit from way back when he was Eddie.
Was it an erotic cake?
This is a woman going to the bathroom on it. If you haven't seen Patrick Stewart on SNL, it has some of the most "we're gonna make this man embarrassed" sketches.
Deep Patrick Stewart cuts there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the important thing to know is that most of humanity has worshipped snakes at some point, and that is directly due to the reptilians. Eventually, they would hide that behind modern religions like Christianity and Judaism and what have you. Now, the problem is I've yet to hear a legit reason why they would hide it. Wouldn't it be easier to just keep us worshiping and fearing them directly? I just don't really get the secrecy.
The other thing that's throwing me about this is snakes being the symbol of the reptilians, and reptilians are usually depicted with limbs, right?
Yeah.
But if you're worshiping snakes, that's like worshiping a limbless creature. So it'd be like Catholics worshiping a congenital amputee Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, it's really bizarre because, they on one hand, he's saying they want to tell us everything they're doing, and we know everything they're doing. On the other hand, they want to hide what they're doing and who they are, but it's like this kind of weird back and forth, wishy-washy.
Yeah,
like
And I think
it's this thing, except in some instances it's the opposite of that thing, but then sometimes it's back to this thing.
It's almost like it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
How
dare you?
Never.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Sir, this is a Christian podcast.
Sir, this is Wendy's.
Oh, yeah.
This is a Christian
we worship
Arby's.
congenital amputee Jesus on this show.
Now, look, I'm sure I mentioned like a reason why they do that before. I want to say it was in the Denver airport episode, but I can't remember what it is, so I'm going to leave it to Ghost Forge to remind me what it was.
So supremely dumb you didn't commit it to permanent memory.
Yeah, there's a lot of this is getting purged. So another thing you need to know is Ancient Aliens is a straight-up documentary to these guys, even the parts that contradict the other parts.
Yeah, just like the Bible for most Christians, Ancient Aliens and the Bible are both equally valid historical documents.
Wow, fucking burn, son. I have got a cat directly in front of the monitor. Sorry, everyone.
Just put the cat in the conspiracy. He'll fit it right in.
Yep. Well, that was a lizard people beaming shit into his head to
they're
stop
not
him.
lizards. They're not. Why are they always lizards?
Because
if I was going to have a creature that is the controller of humanity, it'd be fucking cats.
That's legit. That is true.
You know, it'd be great if it was the Na'vi from the Avatar movies and just
fuck that.
It would just be the most out of pocket thing ever. And
motherfucker, I would Jonestown if it was the Na'vi.
Do you think James Cameron knows?
Well, let's not get into a whole friggin' Kubrick thing.
Could do this whole like directors. Are they lizards or are they just psychically controlled patsies?
So, guys, one last thing on this subject is that every human leader on the planet is of the hybrid reptilian bloodline that has been seeded since the dawn of man. The British royals, every U.S. president, except for a couple, Putin, all of them.
So which couple aren't?
Yeah, like, I feel like one of the non-reptilian presidents was Obama. We've not had our dose of very specific racism for this subject, and I'm waiting for that shoe to drop.
Well,
probably Trump. They'll probably say Trump wasn't a reptilian.
Actually, outside of QAnon, most people think Trump is a reptilian, and Obama wasn't because Obama tried to do good. And I'm like, really? The drone strikes? We're really going to get into this here and now?
That's just president shit.
Yeah, I know. But I don't really remember who the couple of them are besides Obama.
It's probably fucking Taft. Like,
oh, yeah, because he got stuck in a fucking bathtub?
Yeah. Just, yeah, so it's probably just like the two, and let's say Herbert Hoover.
Probably Tyler or something.
Yeah.
Here's someone that definitely isn't a lizard person. Fucking Biden. Because if it was a lizard person, he'd come off as better. Like, more. No lizard person
would want
to seem that decrepit.
Yeah, that's true. So, another tool of the lizards is, and Mike, you're going to love this, transhumanism.
Wasn't that a Transformers subline?
No, those were the Pretenders. Close, though. Now, remember when I mentioned they want to keep us from having empathy towards each other? Well, that is a defining trait of humanity. The best way to stop that now? Make us physically less human. To make us more machine than man.
He's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil.
Goofy. Yeah.
He's micro machine now.
Me good old man. Yeah, no, seriously. I thank you for picking up on the Star Wars reference. I left the joke out so someone would pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is they want copies of our minds uploaded into the cloud.
It's just someone else's computer.
Yes, to control robot bodies so they can eat our souls and still have us around for slave labor.
It's too goddamn fucking complicated.
I have no idea.
The layers here.
It's like it's a 7-layer dip of bullshit.
That sounds like something I would say.
It's like a layer of corn. There's creamed spinach. There's hair.
Oh, there's our shirt for the episode. I have no idea if these guys can feed on digital fear. I'm guessing so. If this is the plan, I don't know.
Well,
Digital Fear. That was the worst Daft Punk album.
Yeah, I love it. No, like this whole plan with the robot bodies and shit just sounds like the last 20 minutes of Earthbound for the SNES.
And if you got that far in it, congratulations.
It's really like a bad Outer Limits like episode.
The original Outer Limits or the one from the 90s?
Either one.
Okay.
It's one of the ones that they did in the original, and then they remade for the 90s.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
the
Not
Outer
like the
Limits is a
Sand Kings.
blue-collar Twilight Zone.
It is. I liked the remake. Anyway, the problem is that's for a whole other episode of a whole other show. The problem is that this book was written in 2013.
Fuck.
And it talks about Google Glass being the first step in the process. Honestly, I would have thought artificial hips and hearts would be mentioned, but nope.
Well, the fucked up thing is I can kind of see the logic with that. You know, hips and hearts are like an issue of mechanics, but like Google Glass would be like closer to messing with the computer of human experience. It's a fucked up kind of logic that I can kind of see.
Can I mention that how mad I am at the cultural backlash to Google Glass?
I remember you being really pissed about it.
I wanted my fucking, visor computer, goddammit.
You wanted Jordy's eyeballs.
Like, I messed with one a friend had at Dragon Con, and it was like as janky and it was not like able to be connected to the internet anymore, but even as crippled as it was, I was like going, this is awesome. Just like a screen floating there.
We rejected Google Glass, and now we're in the timeline where Elon Musk is actually doing brain implants. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, assholes.
They were worried about this one camera on somebody's face when there's like a billion cameras everywhere.
Dude, I mentioned Optimus Prime today and opened up fucking Instagram, and there was an ad for Optimus Prime reading stories to me on Calm.
Oh,
Fuck
no,
yeah.
it's crazy. Like I did just one Google search for like a gun holster, and I've been getting nothing on YouTube but gun holster ads for the past 2 weeks.
Anything from Bud K?
No.
You've also been getting a lot of Crisis Line.
No, it's all
Oh, God.
it's legitimately been like the pre-roll ads for every YouTube video is back-to-back gun holster like ads. I'm like going, what the fuck? I'm like,
Jesus.
You really are just like trying to get me here.
Mike, let me know if you get an ad for the Turner Diaries, okay? Just out of curiosity, I want to know if it
Nobody's
happens.
paying for ads for that.
But yeah,
we'll
like
see.
if you do get that, warn us.
Yeah, please. So, guys, earlier I mentioned the old Archons in a throwaway bit. I don't know if you caught that.
Not really.
Now, the reason being that the Archons are the reptilians.
Dun, dun,
You guys
dun.
remember?
Protoss.
You remember the Archons, though, right, Mike? The
A little bit,
the
but-
microscopic undead cybernetic alien babies that are
the
Jewish.
cybernetic Jew babies. Yeah.
Yes,
Well, Kevin, what about the Protoss? Are they the lizard people too?
obviously.
Okay.
Now, if you go back and listen to all them aliens, you'll find I mentioned that the Archons control the media. Boom! Get you all in check.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
You have to say it correctly. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, then you grab
They're
two.
friends.
Yeah, then you grab two figures, push them together, go, they're friends, and then you'd completely destroy a multi-million-dollar video game. I'm bitter. So, we're going to talk about a part of the conspiracy that is not a conspiracy to me. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Big Food and Big Pharma.
I like them. They did do some good tracks.
God damn it. God damn it. Yeah, you remember when they did that stuff with Fat Joe? Anyway, so Illuminati Watcher in this part actually makes some great points.
So finally, Illuminati Watcher lives up to the potential of the truth set by their name. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, sir, pal. So, the food and pharmaceutical industries are aimed at one thing: profit.
Yeah.
If they
Capitalism.
Yep. if they help humanity, is legitimately an afterthought and a side benefit.
I mean, it's both, but the thumb's more on the profit side of the equation than the help side of the equation.
Yeah.
Well, like inevitably, if someone comes up with like I came up with a way to make strawberries 3 times bigger, the first question is, all right, well, how can we make money off of that?
Right. Now, I have diabetes. I have mental health issues.
I'm so sorry.
I have put both my parents in the ground. I have very strong feelings about both Big Food and Big Pharma to the point that it's not funny. I don't talk real conspiracies in this show usually because it kills the ha-has. What I'm going to do is just hit on the points made, and I'm going to try to leave my beliefs at the door for a bit if that's okay.
Well, yeah, and like when I mentioned that spectrum of conspiracy earlier in regards to me, I would say that this is the truth end of things, and I'm sure you and I share a lot of the same thoughts. There's just so much evidence that the food and health industries are perpetuating trends to feed profit from one to the other. I don't know if there's a grand central conspiracy in that regard, but there's clear collusion, which I think counts. There's a lot we could talk about here, and I expect you'll be getting into it a bit. So
I don't think there's collusion. I think it's just a fortuitous mixing of what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Because
you just think they're both assholes at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's obvious that, good food that's bad for you is cheap to make. Therefore, the food industry does that. And then what's bad for you is good for the pharma industry.
Well, like I can see where you're coming with that, but the problem is that you have these companies that own the medicine companies and the food companies.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. They're just two branches of one thing. So like,
but I don't think there's a conceited effort because it's just kind of lucky synergy.
Oh, but the other thing is like if it was revealed that there was a conceited effort, would you find it all that shocking?
I mean, not really, but I just don't think that it's there.
Right. It's more about the potential of it. You know what I mean?
It's just because what tastes good to us is not what's best for us. It's just kind of simple, human mechanics. And, sugar and fat are our enemies, and they're great for the medical industry.
That's going to be my drag name, by the way, Sugar and Fat.
Sugar and Fat, yeah.
Yep.
I don't know, you're not big enough to be that anymore.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Oh, God, you're right. I keep forgetting. I lost 50 fucking pounds almost.
You look like a skeleton.
You could be zero sugar and low fats.
There you go.
Wow. So hippie foods.
So I'll divest from that argument. Jeff said. I think I said what I wanted to say.
I like when you guys do this because I'm like, oh, good. I don't have to think about this for a few. So the first point is a Western diet.
Oh, yeah.
The Western diet, consisting of fats, salts, and preservatives, has been spread as the norm in first world countries to keep us fat and unwell while keeping the rest of the world starving by promoting wasteful production and expiration dates we're hard locked into believing.
I would have replaced preservatives with sugar.
Okay, fair.
Preservatives, there are good and bad preservatives,
Sure.
but I think they're less of a known and proven problem than just straight out sugar.
That's fair.
We put sugar in everything.
On me.
Yeah.
That's on me.
I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, we can also talk about the prevalence of expensive formula for raising babies. It's pretty fucked that mothers are pressured into getting their child into this mechanically processed and for-profit milk substitute.
Oh yeah, no, that is I would say conspiracy light. That is true. That
I just got done listening to an episode of Behind the Bastards about that. So I
understand there are definitely cases where mothers. I'm pretty sure my mom told me that she had to use formula with me because she just couldn't produce. And
that's understandable.
That's a case you have to.
It makes sense when you need it, but the problem is that the companies are actually hiring
saying
people.
It's better for the baby.
Better.
No, it's not.
Fuck that. And Mike, I'm just gonna say I was raised on formula because Think about my mom. There's no fucking way my mom could. She couldn't produce blood.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! Every time
your mom
you
was a
describe
lich.
your mom, I think of like a lich or something.
I'm gonna find a picture and post it
Kevin,
in host
like,
chat.
I don't remember. I don't know if I've ever seen pictures of your mom from the era where you were born. Was she any healthier looking?
Yes.
Okay.
Before the cancer hit, yes, but she could not feed.
Okay.
So,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, let's move on from that.
Jesus Christ.
Let's talk about GMOs for a minute.
Oh, okay, fine, good.
Yeah, this is so much happier. Companies like Monsanto create genetically modified crops that they own the patent to that are resistant to climate change, insects, and diseases. These will eventually be the only food sources left, and they will be the only place to turn for food. And if you're caught accidentally growing their food on your land, they will sue the fuck out of you.
Yeah, no, this is gross. This is pretty gross, and
this is awful.
I wouldn't call it a conspiracy. It's just a gross capitalism.
Oh, it is. It is. Yes. Also, I'm just going to throw in that Nestle has been fighting for decades to have water not considered a resource and a right, and have been either buying up water sources or stealing from areas of drought. And when the revolution comes, Nestle needs to be the first name on, quote, the list.
The list consists of Monsanto, Nestle, and then a bunch of others.
And Elon Musk. No, I'm kidding. I don't know that Elon yet.
I don't think he's a shithead, but he doesn't warrant the list.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, like with the whole Nestle thing, it's even more fucked up as I live in a state where Nestle siphons spring water, and now we're finding out that many of their water sources are possibly contaminated due to environmental pollution. So, like, we may end up being coerced into paying for poison if they have their way. Pretty soon, downing Rad-X won't just be a thing in Fallout. You're going to have to take it in order to drink your Nestle water.
Also, how many episodes have we talked about Fallout of both series?
Oh, I'm going to be talking about it this week as well on the Distraction.
There's pieces of media that are more prophetic than they are fiction sometimes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it's anything. It's not anything like supernatural. It's not like a literal prediction. It's not a Nostradamus prediction.
No, it's just looking at the way the world's going and going, well, here's where we're headed.
Yeah, you're seeing it, and the people are throwing darts at this board about predictions, and eventually someone gets it right, unfortunately, and it always seems to be terrible.
Yep.
Well, and I'm not going to drag out the Fallout thing, but it is satirical, so they look at things that were going on at the time and building on it. So it's all based on at least some level of truth.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody, any predictive fiction like that, even if it's being over the top, is still going to take its, starting points from reality.
Yeah. So, guys, let's talk about vaccines.
Ooh, boy. No. Okay, I'm going to check out for the next 15 minutes.
Now, here's an opinion I was not expecting from the book. Vaccines are great and helpful to humanity.
Yay, we got one.
Oh, no.
But the reason they were invented was so the human-reptilian hybrids don't have to get vaccinated. Why get vaccinated when everyone else is? Oh, COVID, right. This is an old book. He doesn't even go into the autism thing, and I was really happy about that.
Small miracles.
Yeah, no, that is
a left field turn, isn't it?
Yeah, no. Like, if you would have got to that point and asked me, so Mike, what do you think he thinks about vaccines? I'd have been, oh boy, this is going to be
buckle the
even
fuck
before
up.
COVID. Yeah. So let's talk about Saturn and the moon.
Okay, so got vaccines decently. Now this is going to be crazy pants.
Yep. Nope. This is pants on head madness. Saturn death cult again.
We can't escape this, can we?
No. Before I even heard a particular episode of Mysterious Universe 2 years ago, I never heard of the Saturn death cult. Illuminati Watcher, on the other hand, has been in on the fucking ground floor.
Fuck.
I'm not going to rehash it much here. You can listen to our episode on that for the details. The basics is that Earth used to be a satellite of Saturn, and shit was dope.
That song, Blue Moon, it reveals the truth of the Earth was once one of Saturn's moons. You know, the blue one.
Oh, fuck off. Well, the problem is predictive programming. That's probably fucking true.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, what I'm going to discuss here is straight from David Icke, and it is a lot. It's called the Moon-Saturn Matrix. I mentioned it earlier, and I'm just going to fucking vomit this out there, and you guys can stop me for questions or comments where you need to, as usual. It also ties into our Over the Moon episode, so that's fun.
This is the Infinity War of the podcast.
You're not wrong.
How does it mean the next couple episodes are just going to be terrible?
Oh. So, to get started, Saturn is beaming vibes at us through the ether, which is being channeled by the lizard-constructed moon that totally has alien bases on it that Ingo Swann saw, that disrupt the good vibes of the universe and are channeled into our DNA, which is a chi antenna.
I'm going to need you to repeat that very slowly.
I'm going to need you to never say those words in that order ever again.
I'm going with Mike on this one, David. I apologize.
So what happens when the Earth and Saturn are on opposite sides of the sun?
Fuck off. That's what happens.
Orbital mechanics don't exist.
Yeah. Well, these new bad Saturn vibes help to activate our left brains so that we stop being creative and empathetic, so that we're more susceptible to the Illuminati's behavior-altering media and keep us locked into the holographic universe we inhabit that keeps us separate from each other so that we can't all be God hermaphrodites.
Look, I've been on, like, weird image boards. You can't tell that humanity's creativity is being suppressed. I've seen enough Waluigi porn to know that it's not being suppressed. Harry Potter fan fiction tells you it's not being suppressed.
Oh, boy.
Like, so by the Illuminati, you mean that conspiracy group we talked about before? I can't take any conspiracy seriously that treats the Illuminati as an actual powerful group. I know too much about them, and they're huge fucking dorks. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
And yes, David, they completely are, because of fucking Discordianism.
Mm-hmm.
We've been there. Fucking Thornley and Wilson and all that shit. You know, everything is literally tied into this episode. I'm glad we got Discordianism in there. Hell, where's the KLF?
Mm-hmm.
So, see, all religions are warnings from ourselves to the God within to ignore the worldly so we can be what we should be. Even though I just said that all religions were created by the lizards to direct worship to them so they can feed on the vibes and energy. Also, the moon is a portal to lizard world, and also all Earth-based crystals spread any and all vibes. Fuck you. I'm done with that. I'm not going back.
What the actual fuck?
I don't think this person realizes that, like, computer chips are based on silicon crystals.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but it says all crystals spread any and all vibes.
Yeah, even the ones in computers.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever find yourself doom scrolling, it's just the lizard people at work.
Hey, on the plus side, on the guy's website, he says, yeah, here are the types of music I like. Yeah, it's all propaganda for the Illuminati, but it sounds good.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, hey, man, good on you for realizing that.
I mean, that's just that's all down to the, the hate the artist, but, you can like the art.
Oh,
when any artist comes out as being problematic, it's like, well, divorce them from your enjoyment of the media.
Like I know it's bad for me, but it's okay if I indulge once in a while.
I can have a little bit as a treat.
Like, I will not look. I have not watched it, but I'm sure if I went back and watched Firefly, I could just ignore Joss Whedon.
Yeah, but can you ignore Jane?
No, I can't ignore the hero of Canton, the man they call Jane.
Fun character, terrible human being.
Oh yeah, he's. I forgot he's a piece of crap too.
Yeah. So, let's go into a section I call miscellaneous crap. Now, there are certain, quote, facts that are mentioned in the book that I couldn't find a place to put into the narrative that needed to be mentioned. A lot of it is related to Stanley Kubrick.
This book sounds like it was just like all over the place. Like if you had to invent a narrative structure for this crap,
you have no fucking idea. I hope you never have an idea, Mike. Yeah. It will require you to read this fucking book, I don't want you to do that.
I'm not.
So, let's start. Stanley Kubrick knew all of this that we've been talking about and was trying to get the message out in his films. That's why he was forced to change Saturn to Jupiter in 2001. Surely not because the model looked like shit. Okay, this next one blew my goddamn mind. The televised moon landings were faked by Kubrick. But we actually went to the moon. We just faked the televised landing. I cannot stress the batshit thinking at work here enough. Kubrick was killed because Eyes Wide Shut was an attempt to tell the public the truth about the Illuminati and what they do. It was then co-opted into predictive programming. Now, here's a question for you guys. Was Kubrick a lizard? Was he working with the lizards? Did he find out about the lizards and accidentally play his hand with Eyes Wide Shut? What the fuck happened?
We haven't even talked about AI yet.
According to the narrative, he should have been like MK Ultra'd into, towing the lizard line if he wasn't a lizard.
And like the rebelling, and they, I guess, hey, fuck, Mike, that makes sense according to this logic. God damn it.
Like, Kubrick conspiracies are my favorite batshit nonsense, I swear. I love that so much thought goes into deriving meaning from his work when so much of it was just him being a cranky asshole with like a brilliant aesthetic eye who plays well with ambiguity and ambiance.
And he was an asshole.
Yeah, he was absolutely an asshole. A terrible person in a lot of regards. Like, brilliant, but terrible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's a lot of artists.
Look at me. Say, any artist that's described as brilliant, I've never heard good things about. Like, personally.
Yeah,
I've never been described as brilliant. David, have you ever been described as brilliant?
I want to say no.
Well, let's go with that.
Yes.
It makes us all feel better.
Yeah.
So, here's my take on this. My take on this has been included in the episode, really. I created, as I was going, and presented a structure and the facts as they were in the books and made my own mental chart leading to a shadowy organization of extra-dimensional shape-shifting lizards that pull all of our strings. And it made some kind of sense if you have a part of your brain surgically removed. Kinda. They were above all organizations, beyond all organizations. They were them. They, the puppet masters you can never see, the true Illuminati that have hidden outside of plain sight and telegraphing their intentions for millennia.
I'm just reminded of the Metallica song now.
Yeah. But yeah, it turns out I was wrong. It was the World Health Organization the entire time.
Wait, what?
Yeah. See, I don't think he mentions the WHO more than once in the entire book. And that during the Big Food and Pharma chapter. Then, at the very end, in his conclusions section, he says they are the Illuminati because they can set guidelines all the countries of the world fall in line behind with their food and drug recommendations. They are the puppet masters.
So, here's the thing that's not true. Like, the WHO will set things, but many countries don't follow that.
No, I gotcha. No, but the bad thing... Sorry, go ahead, David.
No, I was going to agree. Like, no, I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah. Now, the bad thing is, though, from a certain point of view, I'm sure this is because this book was fucking destroying me as well. It actually makes a weird kind of sense to me. I mean, of course, it would have to be an independent organization, not led by a nation. But, again, to a conspiracy mindset, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't believe it, but it makes a sort of stupid sense.
What's next? The UN having authority?
That's not going to happen.
It makes kind of sense if you don't, actually pay attention to world politics.
Yeah, or anything else that happens in the world.
I mean, just look at, admittedly this was after, like you said, after the book was written, but look at the United States following the WHO's recommendations on COVID.
Yeah,
no, we didn't buy that shit.
We lost our fucking minds.
Yeah.
Yep. So, guys, my conclusions.
Okay.
This entire conspiracy is a fucking Leela's prom dress of theories. They're stitched together in ways they shouldn't be. It is a Frankenstein's monster of madness, a horrible homunculus of alternative facts.
Jesus Christ.
It also, for once, is not a product of hate. Not the book, anyway. I have doubts about Illuminati Watcher's current worldview after being removed from most platforms for his opinions on things.
Yet another victim of cancel culture. Shame.
Them Dems got me.
I don't know that he actually says that, but he thinks it's the globalists and the lizards.
Well, who are the more globalist and lizard-like than, the liberals, the damn libs?
When I look at Hillary Clinton, the last thing I think of is a live lizard woman.
I don't know.
Lacerda does not spring to mind.
When I look at her, the last thing I think of is human.
Yeah, that's true. She's a robot. So, anyway, maybe I've said this on the show before, but I'm going to say it again here. This sort of conspiracy, especially the way this guy does it, doesn't come from hate or cynicism. It comes from a place of innocence, or naivety, if you will.
I would say naive.
Yeah. So, conspiracy like this is born when innocence meets the harsh reality of the world as it is, and not being able to cope with it. It's the belief that humanity has to be good, or what's the point of us? It's the idea that something somewhere has gone horribly wrong and turned us into what we're seeing because we have to be better than this. It's honestly a 1980s cartoon logic. Like, if you go back through this entire episode or the doc and replace the words Illuminati and reptilian and what have you with Cobra Commander, the entire thing makes way more sense logically. And honestly, as broken-brained as this whole thing sounds and is, there's something more pleasant about it than a lot of our topics because of that naivety. So, closing thoughts, guys.
There weren't enough Cobra Commander references for my liking.
That's fair.
I was once a man.
I was once a man.
There we go. Better. That's the stuff.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes. Like, in all seriousness, without knowing much about the author beyond their name and what you've told me of their book, yes, this sounds a lot like someone trying to make sense of a world they find confusing and upsetting through the lens of, like, myth and connecting different beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem we see here is that for what is supposed to be a unified theory, is that there just isn't that much unification.
Oh, you fucking noticed that, huh?
Yeah.
You noticed that?
Like, justifications and connections tended to be flimsy at best, and a lot of inconsistencies emerge due to mashing up such disparate things.
It's literally, the connective tissue is lizards.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm getting at here is that if you are working on writing your own book about conspiracies, focus on something smaller. If you're looking for a real-life parallel on which to base your conspiracies, look at interconnected systems like the health and food industries that operate separately but prop one another up. Much more believable for your potential, like, batshit website.
That's fair. Mike?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with your conclusions that it's just
naive.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm having trouble like stringing together.
Oh, kind of like this book.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm kind of like numb, and that's not all default to the alcohol.
It washes over you like a big dumb blanket.
Yeah, no, it just hurts, really.
Yeah. I
mean, I can see the comfort in like offloading this from, from something. I think it comes from, it reminds me of when I really started realizing, and this is kind of like a dark subject, but
okay.
being a guy and starting, realizing how bad, like, the how problematic the average guy is. Not average guy, but how problematic, like, women's interactions with men are.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
the
bear
would you rather
thing.
be trapped in the forest with a man or a bear thing.
And I'm like going from my perspective, I'm like, that can't be true. I mean, like, I try to be a good person, and I don't impose myself, and I'm like going like but then I get it. I mean, it happens. I'm not gonna like sit here and like bury my head in the ground and say just because I don't do it, it doesn't happen. But yeah, it's that kind of thinking, that kind of like discomfort of realizing that while you're not the problem,
there are problems.
There are problems, and
it has to be the Decepticons.
Comes from people just like you that for some reason are fundamentally flawed in a way that you thankfully aren't.
Yeah. It's basically hitting that and deciding, well, it's the evil bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's comforting because you can be like, it's not people. It's not like I can't be that way, so therefore all the other people like me can't be that way. So therefore it must be someone that is completely alien.
It's mind control, yeah. Yeah. And
because to admit people like you can be that way means that somehow you could be that way.
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, I felt like this one was strangely more positive in a way. Because
I guess
dude didn't go into the racism or the hate or anything. It was all literally the us versus the lizards.
It was not anti-Semitic.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean it didn't hurt like a motherfucker.
Oh no, it's still
this was
logically it like puts your brain into a like a chokehold.
This was legitimately the most painful episode I've ever written.
And you didn't write a whole lot for a time cube, but that was pretty painful too.
Yeah, well, because I couldn't understand it. This one,
you just read time cube.
Yeah,
you didn't have to like internalize it.
No. Oh my God, I never want to do this again. So I've got 2 more books exactly like this that we're gonna do later. But no, we've got like, before I have to do anything, we got like 4 more Weekend Weirds. David's got an episode, and I think after your next episode, David, we're gonna do the Satanic Panic because I'm a little mad. I found a book about the Satanic Panic. I was like, all right, and it's 30 pages. I'm like, motherfucker, I have docs longer than this book.
I was gonna say, I told him that's not a book. That's like a pamphlet.
Yeah.
It's like an essay a college person hammers out like at 2 a.m. the day before it's due.
It kind of reads like that too. But anyway, I want to thank everyone for listening to this. I don't know if it was easy or funny or entertaining, but it's out there now, thank God
if you made it
done.
If you made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back because woof.
Man. So, that being said, Mike, have you got any plugs real quick? Anything you want to plug? Podcast you want to draw attention to?
No, I don't have anything, but thank you for asking.
Okay. David, how about you? Plugs?
Yeah, I'm just going to plug the zine again, supernatpod.rock/zines. Send us your cryptids. Just have fun with it. That's the most important thing.
That's what I'll plug. I'll plug the zine too.
Okay. Wow. Johnny come lately.
Yeah.
More like Johnny come at all.
Oh, damn, son. I am going to plug, what's it called? A podcast by Dave Ross and Caleb Sinan, who I got to see perform live in Hattiesburg last week. It was a blast. And the show, basically, the new concept is they take a movie and come up with a new name for it. And they go through their list, and then they put a prompt out to us, the listeners, to basically come up with a new name for something with a catch A good example is, hang on one sec. Sorry, I'll cut this bit out. I thought I had this. Recent one was renaming Alien Romulus, but what if it was directed by Martin Scorsese?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And mine was Aliens Won't Win an Oscar. So, yeah,
like
there's some fun stuff in there. I would definitely recommend you check that podcast out. They mention me on there every now and again. I got called out to try to get people to come to the show, and boy, did I fail at that.
Alien, if made by Martin Scorsese, face.
God damn.
Because the alien has a face in its face.
It's got face in its face.
Good Xenos.
Yeah. I like that one.
You see, I should be on that show.
You should listen to the show, get on the Discord, and start submitting stuff like we do.
There we go.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that is a lot of fun.
Yeah, the current one is Gone Girl, but what if it was directed by Greta Gerwig, sorry. But anyway, I don't have enough for that. I don't know the movie, and I don't know much about Greta
Gerwig.
So, yeah. So, thank you, everyone, for listening. I cannot thank you all enough for making it through this one. Again, we will be back next week with a Week in Weird. Don't forget, you can find everything you need to about the show at supernatpod.rocks. That is supernatpod.rocks. You can find a link to our Discord, our merch store, every episode we have done so far. You can find a link to the Discord and join our wonderful community, who Ghostforge is kind of our community head right now. You can also submit to the zine, as has been said multiple times. We're also still taking ads. If you would like to advertise with us, we have very reasonable rates, $2 an episode. So again, thank you for listening. And until next time, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye.
Thank God I can close this document.
I'm going to burn that book this weekend.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Yeah, same. Fuck it.
I'm dead over here.
Bye-bye.
You're dead over here. Okay, it killed you. Bye-bye.